That guy's needing refills like every 5 days. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. As usual, bucket truck, chipper, all that stuff. Everyone's meeting me there.
47 of the city's leading activists face possible life in prison for taking part in...
And before we get to this first job, let me just say that, you know, if you watch tree videos, if you're into that kind of thing, it can be tempting to think that the best jobs are the big trees, like the huge crazy climbs and all that stuff. But in some ways, I'm just gonna say, in some ways, the best jobs in a lot of different ways can be ones like this job. Not a big job in any way. All right, I think you're ready to see the trees. First one is this little bad boy right here, but we got to deal with the river crossing. Alright, that was tree number one. Little maple. It was right there. I think they're getting a new fence and they kind of need this area cleared. And then speaking of new fence, there is a plum over there. And this is one of those like problems that was put off. It's craving to be horizontal. Somebody got kind of creative with some stakes and some wire and some hose and tried to kind of keep it from being too horizontal, but it's going that way. So again, fence is going to go here. It also kind of gets in the way of the driveway. Let me just explain a little bit, like a little bit of a justification for why I think the small job can actually play a big role, like in terms of importance in the daily routine. Now first I have to recognize that when you do have the bigger crew, when the bucket truck and the chipper and all those people and everything, when they actually show up, when the ground crew is on site, unlike today, I don't know where those guys are, but when they do show up, I know it's hard to justify the small job. You can't feed 5 people with a little job like this. It just doesn't really work. But if you happen to roll out with a smaller profile, smaller footprint, if it's just you or you and one other person, there's like this renewing sense of satisfaction every time you finish one of these small jobs. On the small job, you're not stuck there for days and days wondering when it's over. It's over before you know it. You move on to the next one. You're like, man, I did something, I finished, I got paid, whatever. So that sense of accomplishment is nice. I gotta say that if you stack the small jobs, stack them up 2, 3, 4 in a day, the money's not bad. Sure, there's a lot of running around between places and all that, but the money can be just fine on the small jobs as long as you're not just doing the small job and going back home and playing video games or whatever you do with your spare time. Like, as long as you're stacking them and out there working, the small job, I would say a day of small jobs is as good or better than a day of a big job. So there is money involved if you're interested in money and getting paid and, you know, supporting yourself and all that kind of stuff. All right, one more. This little dude right here. All right, so before getting to the next job, I should probably describe it a little bit. It is another one of those kind of like deferred problems. Co-dominant split stem right by the house, sketchy, and they put on a new roof. So it's kind of like one of those houses that's being fixed up. The proper order probably would have been remove the tree, then start fixing up the house, but they started fixing up the house and now remove the tree. It is a cut it and drop it scenario though. Just get it down and slice it up for them.
Leading rival factions in Sudan's armed forces are in a now 6-day-old battle.
All right, here's the situation with the tree. It is going both ways. It's got that just bad, all included, all the way down to the base, and just plenty of decay in here. It's tempting to try to take them both. They're going over here. There's an open spot over here. It's tempting to try to take them both, like strap them and take them at once. But I just worry that the hinge is gonna get a little too punky and funky down in here with all this decay, and they're not gonna wanna go together. So I think it's gonna be a one at a time. They're a little bit enmeshed. Mainly I'm worried about this branch here, but I think it's gonna go with the rest of it, but I am gonna do some strapping. But there's one thing that is even more valuable than the sense of accomplishment and the money in your pocket and all that stuff. And that is the fact that doing a bunch of small jobs increases your chances of success on the quest that every small business owner has, the quest for the super referrer. Now, the super referrer is a person you don't come across every day. It's not everybody you work for. Most people you work for, they are unlikely to refer you to other people, because it's just kind of weird to run around saying, oh, you know, this guy hacked down my tree, he should hack down your tree. So some people, you know, maybe they'll give you one reference a year or something like that. There are these people who are super referrers, like their whole being is sort of about cultivating this ability to refer their family and friends and everyone they run into and work with and all that stuff to all kinds of people for all kinds of things. And man, when you come across one of those super referrers, you are in business. Like, if you do a good job for them, they start referring you to a lot of people. It's pretty amazing for your business. So the quest for the super referrer is limited by the number of jobs you do. Because if you only do 3 jobs in a week, you got 3 people who might give you a reference. And now the most important thing there was not really getting this tree down. It was keeping this one up. I got a little swing on it, but it's standing. I'm gonna get a rope in it before it decides to fall over. If you do 3 or 4 jobs a day, these little dinktastic, not that great little micro jobs, you do 3 or 4 of those a day, your odds at the roulette wheel in which you search for the super referrer just went jacked up, like magnified, multiplied, way better. You're leaving more customers satisfied out there. Maybe they'll give you a review, but even more importantly, maybe they will do the work of finding more jobs for you. Those references that are just so valuable. And that is why I think the small job can actually be pretty dang great. I have fat hinge. Let's see if I can just pull it over. It's got maybe 4 feet to pull before it starts to let gravity take over. He's just sitting there, and there it is. Nice fat hinge. Alright, these guys just have to be bucked up, and probably get the big saw for the big parts. I was a little worried about that second half of that tree. Just like everything depended on that hinge. Like it was on a rope and everything, but it just needed a hinge, and it did. Speaking of things that haven't been taken care of, I'm only half full on my blinker fluid, and I dinged this thing at some point and nothing like fits together quite right. Do not underestimate the small jobs. They can get you somewhere. It bears mentioning that this video is not necessarily a how-to video. There are some mighty fine how-to videos on the interwebs. Check them out. They will give you steps. 1, 2, 3, how to do stuff, DIY. This is just a story of how I did it, but I appreciate you checking it out.